Cons for Trump live on Intellectual Radio. That's X Cons for Trump live on intellectualradio.com, Facebook Live. Listen, I need y'all to do the one thing for me to go to intellectualradio.com, subscribe and share. Subscribe and share to Intellectual Radio, the one of the baddest radio stations in the land. Thank y'all for tuning in once again. We got a great show for you. As you know, I got my host, Carter Trust, is in the building. And then we got a great guest today. I think he's going to give you a lot of great information regarding the Republican Party and the movement around conservatism that he's been working on for quite a while now. We have our guest today is Devin Jones. Devin Jones, and we're going to introduce Devin in a moment, and then he could tell you about the initiatives some of the initiatives he's a part of, and how they're moving the Republican Party forward as a black conservatives in this city, in this state. So with that being said, thank y'all once again. Remember, live call in 708-223-8953. That's 708-223-8953. Call in if you like what you've heard. For a question or a comment, call in 708-223-8953. So with that being said, Carter,
What's
up?
good? What's good? What's good, people? We are glad to have you tuning in today. Again, please call in if you like what you're hearing, or if you don't like what you're hearing. You want to fight? Let's fight. Call in. Let's talk about it. The number again, 708-223-8953. We want to hear from you. And if not, that's okay, because you're going to hear from us.
So we're going to get right into this show, and I'm going to introduce our guest, Mr. Devin Jones. Devin, can you talk to the people? Thank you for coming.
No problem.
And we should have had you on a little more. I mean, we should have had men like you on doing
That's okay.
doing the election.
You know what?
I really
Kata
did.
asked me
She
a
did?
bunch of times.
Lord.
A bunch of times.
See what I'm
Probably
saying?
20
But
times
see,
at
I
least.
had to threaten to put him in the trunk for him to come on. So, Devin, please look in the camera, tell the people who you are, what you do, what district you serve,
Sure.
and how does that affect them?
So I'm the 18th Ward Republican Committeeman, which is an elected Republican kind of political position. So in every ward, you have a Republican, a Democrat, maybe a Green Party, Libertarian, if they actually run somebody. So I was elected for the 18th Ward, which is the southwest edge of the city. It's the number one black ward, majority black ward as far as home equity, education. It's where a majority of black cops live, firefighters, the Black Fire Brigade is in my neighborhood, that type of stuff. So I'm in that
telling
area.
me that
EC, yes, it is. Yes, it is.
So you telling me that there's black Republican what is it, committeeman?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
yeah.
let me let you finish. So some people think that we just we a monolith, right? We just
Right.
sitting around here, only voting blue no matter who, and we don't have consenting voices other than Democrats.
Well, we also want to say that Devin is one of the authentic Republican committeemen, because
Okay.
we have all of the seats in the city of Chicago that's supposed to be filled by Republican committeemen are filled. They're just not filled with Republican committeemen. We have those people that are sitting in those seats perpetrating, basically gatekeeping for the Democratic Party. Oh yeah. We got to talk about it. Y'all know. I'm gonna tell you what it is.
All right, Devin, you.
So, I mean, I'm not even gonna refute that.
You
you're right.
can't.
No, I can't. So I started back in 2020. I started the Southside Republican organization because I noticed that most of our wards on the south and west sides were empty. The Republican Party wasn't doing anything, and to a certain extent, I would rather them not take up the charge. I felt like nobody can talk to black people like other black people, right? And so if we wait for a party that has no black people in it, as far as leadership to actually lead the charge, then what are we going to get?
Yeah.
we're going to get a whitewashed thing. So I started the Southside Republican Organization, and we adhere to 1854 Republican principles, the original principles of the Republican Party. So things like reparation, Black liberation, Black voter education. Not that we don't talk to white people or Hispanic people, but we are intentionally
Wait,
focused.
you got a Republican, Black Republican, talking
Yeah.
about reparation, Black
Yes.
liberation.
Yes.
That is not what our people, I think, is used to hearing. When they hear Republican Party, and I've heard others try to explain what the Republican Party is, you telling us that's not what it is. It's not.
I'm saying that's not what it was founded to be.
Yeah.
And so what it is today is not necessarily what it should be or what it used to be. And that also doesn't mean that people cannot found their own organizations within any given party, right? And so I can never be a Democrat. I can never be a progressive, because if all of us are in a consensus as Black people in this country that the United States government, our state governments, our municipal governments have racism, systemic, we keep talking about that, right?
Yep.
So why would we even want them to educate our children?
Right.
Why would we want to continue to give them your home equity, your sales taxes, your gas taxes, to take a piece of your vehicle, right? That's what that city sticker is they take a piece of the value of your vehicle, and then they do what they want to do with it. And so I'm a Republican, I'm a conservative, because I believe that we can do this stuff on our own. If we're not giving 33 and a third of our money to a government system, then that money could be used to build our own schools, like what Latasha Fields is doing.
Yeah.
You know, Ronald and Latasha Fields, or some of the other things that we need to do. We could have our own after school programs. We don't need after school matters. No offense to them, but all these government entities that come in, and then we say, oh, they don't teach Black history, and they don't teach this, and 90% of kids can't read, write, do math, and our men are all in prison. Well, we're funding it.
Say that again, Devin,
Yeah,
because
we're-
people don't realize that we are actually helping to fund the demise of our people.
Yeah, every dollar that you give to the government, it's not coming back to your community. It's going to a government employee who gets a pension.
Yeah. Isn't that really what Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk is supposed to
Yes.
go through there,
To-
clean
to-
up, to
yes.
eliminate the
Yes.
pork?
Yes. And so I'm also a United States Navy veteran. So I've been in the federal system, and I could tell you all these stories about toilets that cost $10,000 and just a wasted spending. That's what's happening with the money. So no, I'm a Republican. I'm a conservative. We started the Southside Republicans because we do believe in the original conservative principles from 1854. Definitely for Black liberation, Black empowerment, and us taking over our own communities. I don't believe that we need government systems and government entities to do anything for us. I just think we need our money back.
That's interesting.
And you know what? While we got Devin on here, I want to also shout out to Miko Holt, who is also another Republican committeeman on the west side of Chicago. And this
Do
is
she say man or woman?
Or committee woman.
I think
it should be
I
committee woman.
think she used woman.
Yeah, committee woman.
I said
I'm sorry,
committee man, and I
committee
almost
woman.
had to fight her.
Yeah, it's committee woman. So I digress. Committee woman. And let me just say that she is different in terms of what we are currently used to seeing within a committeeman, even here on the west side of Chicago. She is about the business of the people and about the business of the Republican Party. And so as we began to talk more about what being a Republican looks like, you're going to begin to see more Republican committee men and women who are not put in those positions by the Democratic Party to hold the spot like you're seeing around the city thus far. And that is why we are here today, and we have Devin here to talk to us about what it really means to be a Republican, why he decided many years ago. As I've said to you more often, this is new for me, but when you talk to Tyrone and Devin, you're talking to young men who have been a part of this party for a while, and they can really speak to why it makes a difference for us to really stop looking at what our grandmothers, grandfathers, parents used to look to as the right place for us to be.
That's right. So that, hey, well, me personally, I often just wonder, like, logical rationale, and then when I look at our communities and see that we never look anywhere else. Like, we've been Democrats. Like I've always said, I don't necessarily prescribe to a party, but I vote everywhere in all parties, and mostly Republicans, because I think the ideas now, well, what they espouse, will better serve our community. But we don't seem to change. Can you explain why it's so difficult for our people? I mean, every aspect that you can think of, why it's so difficult for us to look somewhere else for service to our community.
I think first and foremost that as a community, we don't understand civics. We don't
Mhm.
understand how government really works. We don't, I mean, how many, for real, not to talk about us, but how many black people actually read the Constitution? How many black people do you
Not
know
after college, after high
have
school.
right? How many people have Illinois? And I'm not talking about the federal Constitution. Have the Illinois Constitution in their house? And so I grew up in a house where my mother, I had to read the Constitution. I had to read laws. My mother was a Cook County sheriff. And so she used to, it was just natural for her to just present that information to me. And so it was annoying to people as a kid. But as an adult, I think that people have seen the benefit of me kind of being like a constitutional nerd, if you will. And so that's primarily the reason why we can't move away from the Democrat Party the way that we should move away from them. We should not be beholden to any party unless we ourselves are taking it over. And I'm saying that the Republican Party is why in a state like Illinois, where these people are not strong people, right? I mean, come on, we've been
I've
around these
said it.
people.
We
Everybody
have.
sitting in this room been around these people. So it's
Which
so
people you talking
I'm
about?
talking about the Republicans,
Yeah.
the people in leadership, and that's I'm not talking about everybody because somebody gonna say he's talking
Not
about you, he's
everybody.
talking about you. No, I didn't say any
If the shoe
names.
fits,
Then wear it.
But I just had that same conversation that it's not that the Republicans aren't strong people, but the Democrats aren't either.
No, they're not.
That's
They're not.
why. That's
They're not.
why when they lose, the way they're pouting and fighting is because you were never strong.
Yeah.
It just was never no one to give you a real challenge.
Yes.
Away from the crap that you systemically put together and then tried to force on the people.
Right.
So
So to me, the platform of the Democrat Party, we just can't get along with because their focus is LGBTQism. Their focus is it's this people of color melting pot thing, which is communist at its heart. We are still black at the end of the day, and I'm not going to stop. I can't deny my parents just because it makes you uncomfortable. My father's a black man, my mother's a black woman, and they're going to be that, and I'm going to be this. And so communities should look out for themselves. I'm not saying Italians should be. Yeah, and that's the other thing is that they're hyper focused. Anytime a black woman is brought up, and it's always abortion. That's reproductive health care. It's never a reason that we could cure breast cancer. We can never cure cervical cancer. We can't cure ovarian cancer. We can't cure fibroids, but they can abort your baby. That's the only thing that they think about is strange sexual ideology. And so on this side of the aisle, at least in the platform, all of that stuff is stripped out so that you can focus on what a political party is supposed to focus on, which is government. And then every ward, every township, almost every precinct in this state has the potential to have a Republican committeeman. Oftentimes these seats there's nobody in them. There's nobody there. So a black person in a black neighborhood, a black ward could run unopposed. Now you're in the leadership. I am literally in the leadership of the Chicago Republican Party, the Cook County Republican Party. We vote on the chairman, their state central committeeman. It's the committeemen that vote on those people. When you wonder why you got crap candidates, is because you have crap committeemen who give you those candidates on either side of the aisle. If you don't have any candidates, that's because you got committeemen that didn't give you a candidate.
Mm-hmm.
And the reality is that once you understand the Illinois election code, which governs all of that stuff, once you understand how government works, then you can start to replace people that are not serving the best interest of your community, that are building up a government system that keeps you poor, incarcerated, keeps your kids dumbed down, but continues to strip wealth out of your community, out of your household.
One of the questions from one of the gentlemen, Mike, is that told me to ask you if he believes black people can build their own political party, their own political party.
I think it's hard because you'd have to change 50 different state election codes to do so. So why would we want to do it'll be another half a century before we could get those political parties on par with what the Republicans and the Democrats have, right? So as we know in Illinois, for any given office, you might only need 500 signatures to get somebody on the ballot as a Democrat or Republican. But if they run as an independent, it's like 10, 20 times the amount of signatures. So it takes a check. We could do it. I believe
Yeah.
black people could do whatever we want. But at this point, since we're not really moving the needle one way or the other, I would say take over, do something a little bit easier and take over the party um, that's there for the taking. Does that make sense?
It does.
It
I have
does.
another question. Otis Smith is asking, what will the Republican Party do for Black people these next 4 years? And to answer that
How you
question,
gonna answer? Don't you better not answer it. You gotta let him answer it. She ain't
Uh,
finna answer it.
I
I was. This is simple. It's real simple. But go
You
ahead.
said it. You've answered it before. I've heard you answer it. All
I'm
right,
gonna
Devin.
answer it this way.
Devin on the hot seat.
I would encourage black people to partner with the South. I didn't say join. I said partner with, which is different, right? So I'm not over anybody. So I would encourage black people in Chicago to partner with the Southside Republican Organization, and then we decide the leadership positions in our community, and then we can ask that question: what the Republican Party is going to do. Right now, probably nothing. The best thing that they can do is lower taxes and reduce government regulation and kill some of these entities in government that are destroying us. For instance, the United States Department of Education, which is fueling the student loan industrial complex that is killing the black middle class. So that is a good thing to get rid of, right? So that's the best thing they could do, is get rid of their primarily white institutions that lord over us, and then we can be free to build our own institutions in our community. But right now, I mean, other than that, they're not going to do anything specifically for black people. They've already said neither of the parties are going to do anything specifically for black people. The Democrats would have already done it, and the Republicans, they stopped doing that type of stuff 1965.
So I guess Kyler, you can add to that. She burning.
Well, no,
You
because Devin answered it perfectly. But I think that I would be remiss if I didn't say that what are Black people going to do collectively for Black people? Because see, we have a tendency to look to others to solidify our communities and our brother and sisterhood, when that is something that we should be doing.
Mhm.
No, the cavalry ain't coming. And see, we keep making that mistake as Black people of waiting for someone, some entity, some organization, some party to save us. No one is coming to save us. So my question to you, Otis Smith, is what are we going to do to make life better for Black people?
because if I do it, I want the credit. You see that, and that's how, I mean, that's anybody. If you wait for the Republican Party, like if the Southside Republican does something, we're gonna take credit for it. We just
So
happen to be pro-black.
so I guess in the same line, Ronaldo Hudson, Ronaldo did about 40, 55 years in prison. No, I'm lying. It was a lot. But he said, that's my man. He said, can you clarify party building over? I mean, he say, can you clarify building power over party BS?
Um, so that's a twofold thing. So on the one hand, you do part of building power in this country is building power within a political party. That doesn't mean that that's the only way to do it, right? If we actually came together and supported independent black candidates, if that's what we chose to do, for instance, for aldermen, there is no, it's not partisan, even though most of all of our
Right.
aldermen are Democrat. That's a nonpartisan. Most municipal races are nonpartisan. So if we come together, but see, we come together around people who want to come to the barbecue and get us a bouncy house, or they sponsor something. We don't come together around the person in the community, like Michael from Good Times. We don't come together around
Yeah.
him who just talking about building something. We want the flashy person. They got a nice suit, they look good,
The BS sells
Yeah,
real
it's
good.
BS. So you do want to take over a party, not the Democrat Party, because they ain't going nowhere. But then on the
Say
other
that
hand,
again.
you want to take over all of these different positions. You can run an independent for state rep. It's going to be harder. If you don't want it to be hard, then join the Republican Party. But again, do not bring progressive ideology over here, because I'm going to fight that every day of the week. I do not believe in that government is ever the answer to anything that's going on in the black community. Never. Never. They could barely fix the potholes in the street, but we want them to educate kids. We want them to find housing. That means you don't own the house; the government owns it.
Did
So
you hear what the man said? The very government that you all are following, you want them to educate your children, hold on, but they can't fix a pothole. That was Gion. They can't fix a pothole in the street, but they can educate your children. Our resources is gonna go to them, and even to what Mike Burris is saying about third party. So that's why saying I'm gonna run as an independent United States Senator.
But
Because you have to have signatures. You have to have a team to build that. When we start talking about party, that's why it's so hard. You get two-party solution, and nobody ever try to run nothing different, because they make it too difficult for you to even start a third party. You finna say something, Carter?
well, one of the things that I have to say is that we have to also keep in mind that we have done something in this state that has not been done in a long time, and that is we have really, really turned the tide and made the Democratic Party hopefully wake up. And nope, they haven't. Let me stop lying. um, you would think that they would say, "Dag, you know what? These people got us by the balls, and maybe we do need to start looking at doing something different." But they ain't. And you know what? We're not gonna wait for them to do that. We've moved on. And I'm gonna say to my listeners, to those of you who are still blindly chasing behind the Democratic Party, especially here in the city of Chicago, they've already shown you what they're going to do. They've already told you. They've come out and told you. They're not changing their stance. They're not changing direction.
Man,
They moving
they
full
doubling
steam
down.
ahead.
They
They're
doubling down.
doubling down. And listen, come on, migrants, come on here. Y'all, if more want to come on. We gonna take care of you. City going broke. We ain't got no money. We're in deficits, millions of dollars, but we gonna find money for the migrants. That's basically what the government here in the city of Chicago and the state of Illinois is saying. And so what we're saying to Chicagoans, to Illinoisans, to voters out there, it is time for us to really look at doing something differently. And for those of you who are asking, well, what is the Republican Party going to do? What has the Democratic Party done for you? You ain't really got nothing from them since the civil rights movement. And we have continued to
and
blindly
that wasn't them either.
follow and support them. And that wasn't even them. And let me just say this, if you want to know the truth about it. See, one of the biggest problems with black people is that we don't study our history. We don't understand that we were Republicans long before this Democratic ship rolled in and made us think that we owe them some kind of blind loyalty.
So
Go back and read your history books, people.
Exactly. She's right on point. And all these questions coming in, we ask y'all to participate. You got people asking questions online. But if you're really serious about being a part of the solution, we want to hear your voice. That's the problem. You waiting on people to give you an answer when we telling you to participate. Call in 708-223-8953, 708-223-8953. And ask Devin your question. Ask him a question for yourself. Don't just keep relying on us to convey it to him. You can call. You got fingers. You call when you want to call something. You know how to call Uber and DoorDash. Call Devin right now for yourself and ask him some real questions that can and we can hear your voice doing it. Tyrone and Carter just not speaking for our health. We building a movement, a conglomerate, an alliance that's gonna allow us to think about our decision in these upcoming elections when we cast our vote.
And I'm gonna even go as far to say is if you're an elected official and you're in the bushes and you don't agree with what we're saying, call in. Let's talk about it. Talk to me about why we ought to keep supporting you and the mess that you're throwing at our people.
And you know, I do want to say this. I think that even if whether you're looking at Democrats, Republicans, Independents, Libertarians, you have to understand the Constitution and what government is supposed to look like, not just what you want from government. So anytime they say something like we're going to create a program, they're always going to take $1 out of your wallet to create that program. They're always going to find whatever you own, whether it's a house. If you got an apartment, you pay property taxes because your landlord is not going to pay those property taxes on your behalf. They're going to charge you rent. If you look at your light bill, it's got excise taxes on it. If you look at your cell phone bill, it's got taxes on it. There's not a thing that you do in life other than breathe, and I'm sure they'll figure out a way how to tax that. But everything that you do, from drinking water to flushing the toilet, everything that you do is taxed. And we're not asking, they're pulling in all of this money, $17 billion in the city council, a $17 billion budget that just 4 years ago was $10 billion. And then it just ballooned to almost double that. And now we're $1 billion short, but we spent over $1 billion on people who not even supposed to be here. And you want more?
That is treason. I'm gonna just say to you right now, we at war. They don't want to say it. You don't know you're at economic war. You don't know you at what is it? Gender war.
Yeah.
You don't know you at. Man, it's so many wars.
You're in a total cultural
We're in
war.
a cultural
It's
war,
a cultural war
against us in the origination of family in this country, in this world right now. So, yeah, he right. It's taxes on everything. You already a slave. You're a slave to taxes.
Yep.
And he's saying government don't produce no, do I say surplus? Seem like they produce a negative, a want.
Constantly.
Constantly.
It's constantly.
It's no surplus. That's why we sitting here talking about non-citizens receiving resources over citizens. Man, if you even thinking about Democrat versus Republicans with what they've done to you in your face, they have essentially told you, you are not as a citizen. We take your tax dollars and we give it to whom we want to. And then we have nothing for you in your communities while you could perpetually disinvested, murdered, murdered. You're being murdered in your own neighborhoods. And they still asking for more money for police who can't stop a murder.
Or solve a murder.
And then they don't want you to have guns on top of that. They don't want you to protect yourself. So it's really abuse. It's a form of extreme abuse. And then just going back to the fact that we have flooded this country with foreign nationals. These are not migrants. These are not immigrants. These are foreign nationals. These are people subject to a foreign nation's constitution, subject to a foreign power, and we're allowing them here. We're feeding them. We're housing them. We're educating them. 90% of your kids can't read. 90% of your kids can't write, can't do math, can't do science. They want to close your schools. They want to knock down buildings in your neighborhood. You look at Inglewood, it's full of vacant lots where people actually own property. Why do they no longer own that property? Who owns most of the property
Yeah,
in
outside
Inglewood?
of our neighborhood, they
Outside-
hold on to
They
those
hold
properties.
on to it.
And then you
Yes.
got a bank, a land
A
bank
land
holding
bank,
on to them. That's by
that
the
was just under
government.
federal investigation. The
Yes.
head of that was under federal
Just under federal
investigation before
investigation.
he resigned.
And
No, I'm just gonna say we just keep perpetuating this stupid system because we get invited to the gala because they come out and they do something real small for us. The only people who are left in this country from the foundation of this country are freedmen, are Black Americans. The white people are diluted. Most of these people that's here now, they're German immigrants from the 1920s. Every time Black people get a little bit of power, every time we get some civil rights, what do? They start to flood the country with immigrants. They did it in right after the Civil War in 1870. They did it again in the 1920s and 30s when we were starting to get economic power during the Roaring 20s or whatever.
Yep.
They did it again in 1965 at the same time that the Civil Rights Act was signed. What did they do? They opened up that's where we got this system of immigration, where Black people were nurses and all types of things. And then all of a sudden Filipinos became nurses, right? All of a sudden the nursing staff became different people from another country to depress the wages. And here we are again, where Black people have gotten something, maybe a president. I guess if you consider that guy the first Black president, but we started to gain access to home ownership and to raise our home ownership and our wages and different things like that. And here we are again with unfettered, illegal, foreign national in migration.
And I think that here, and when you talk about that, and you talk about home ownership, and you talk about the American dream, and you talk about it, and I want those of you who are watching to really be mindful of some of the things that have happened in these last 2 years since these migrants or foreign nationals have come into this country. And think about the fact that they're given access to home ownership, that you have banks that are literally giving them not the 10% down payment that they would offer you as a freed Black man or woman, but giving them $150,000 in some states in order to buy a home. Now keep in mind, even if they were to give you that, now I want you to hear me. You still got to go through a credit check. They still got to run your credit. These people ain't got no credit. They don't have Social Security cards or Social Security numbers. I want you all to think about that. But they're on a path, and in some cases have passed us up in home ownership. And we're still, as Americans,
At the bottom,
trying to realize the American dream. And these people are coming here from somewhere else living
but the
it.
system, the what I'm learning, Carla, and hearing, and Devin, and y'all could chime in on this. And I said it, and I'm gonna say it again. I can't stand these Black elected officials. I ain't gonna say all of them. I can't stand most of them. I'm telling you, we got a mayor that sit in our face. And then, even in the midst of a president, a new regime change, telling us what he's not gonna do when we didn't even want the migrants in the first place, saying that he has to remove them because it's a new leader in town, and we said that is no longer accepted. It was already illegal for him to do that to our community without providing without the proper resources. It's no coincidence that he $1 billion in debt. Our city is $1 billion in debt,
which is us.
Which is
that means
us.
we're $1 billion.
We're $1 billion in debt.
Yeah.
And then hold on, let me finish the point, Cata. When we go to, then he's gonna raise the taxes on our houses and homes and on the citizens to fix or to continue to pay for what the president has already just said.
He about to end.
We gonna end.
Which should have never been.
Our governor tells the president of the United States, let's talk about democracy right now and the rule of law. Our governor and our mayor said they're gonna fight against or protect the citizen, and they always trying to use black people as the tool for their dirty religion, for their dirty practice of their culturalism that they're creating. And I'm gonna just leave it there, Carter. Go ahead.
Because I got the piggyback on that. Because remember, the first thing Brandon said was it's gonna hurt black people. How's it gonna hurt us? How is
it's gonna hurt us?
Unless you legally present.
But I need this to make some sense to me. Man. How is Tom Homan coming into Chicago and Illinois to take out these foreign nationals who aren't supposed to be here anyway, who have been a strain on this city budget? How's that hurting us?
It's not.
And it's gonna hurt. Agenda. But wait a minute, it's gonna hurt black people. We already hurting. We already suffering. We already gotta pay more. How is it gonna hurt us? I'm just saying, people. I just need somebody to help me make it make sense.
So it's a couple of things. I don't think people know the numbers. It's between 40 and 60,000 foreign nationals here. That's the estimate. 40 to 60,000. The average ward has 56,000 people in it. If you remember when the census happened and they were doing all the redistricting and stuff, it was an argument over whether there would be 2 new Hispanic wards or two less black. Remember, we was arguing over all of that because of the numbers. So you're talking about we just imported 40 to 60,000 people. That's a new ward. So right now, as of 2030, black people are going to lose at least one representative because they have imported enough people so that we don't even have to have this argument again. And then they're going to have children, right? So 40 to 60,000 in about 10, 15 years easily becomes over 120,000. Easily, right? The second thing is you mentioned democracy, the republic.
Yeah.
The governor took an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
Exactly.
The mayor took an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. The Constitution of the United States of America leaves immigration and naturalization to the federal government. It is not a municipal issue. Right. Again, you cannot fix potholes. You are missing billions of dollars from the Chicago Housing Authority. We don't know what you're doing with schools. We don't know what's in our water. When we flush the toilet, sometimes it come right back up in our own house. So those are all of the things that you're supposed to be doing, and you cannot do that. People talk about mental health clinics. You really want Brandon Johnson dictating your mental health? Are you serious? You know, so they can't do the stuff that they're supposed to do, and yet we ask them for more. But then they can, all of a sudden, when it comes to a foreign national, they know how to house, they know how to clothe, they know how to feed them, all this other stuff. The other thing is, I want to say it was either Illinois Policy or Illinois Opportunity that came out with an article that said that the majority of tickets, boots, and all of that stuff are on the south and west side in black neighborhoods. They raised over $61 million.
We need our money back. We need a lawsuit. We need our money back. I want every dollar I spent on boots and tickets. Well, I ain't had not a boot yet. They trying to give me one. I want every dollar I spent. But the fact that we get ticketed like that for every little thing, and they gave away the doggone meters.
Yes.
Oh, like, and don't forget the red light cameras.
The red light. Listen, man, I ain't gonna tell y'all. You know what? I'm such a good guy today. Because if it was up to me, and we gonna be criminals, y'all gonna be criminals. If it was up to me, I'd tell y'all what to do with them red light cameras in your neighborhood. I really would tell you what to do with them. But I'm telling you what to do with them. Peace and blessing on that
one. Speaking of which, the Southside Republicans, we try to help people get out of tickets. We write narratives and stuff like that. We do not have lawyers on staff, so let me make that disclaimer. But if you do reach out to us because you have tickets and boots and stuff like that, we will do what we can. We have helped, I want to say 75 people.
Y'all hear this, man? Y'all hear this, Republican? Listen. Oh man, you know what? You're an evil black Republican. You a sellout, Uncle Tom. You know what you is, man. You a sellout, Uncle Tom. Republican who do white man's bidding in the neighborhood, man. You ain't nothing but Uncle Tom,
Well, as
man.
I can,
So what the heck you gonna do for us? You a sellout, Devin?
well, in selling out, we do civic education classes every Tuesday from 7 to 9. Kata has been there. I don't know if that's a sellout. We do it from a black perspective. We've talked about reparations. I've gone through the constitutionality of that.
You lying. You're a Republican. You can't be talking about reparations. That's Democrats. You lying. You a Republican. Republicans don't believe in reparations.
And let me tell you something. And what you all don't know is that Devin and I have been really working cohesively to set up a West Side Republicans office. And so that is something that is going to be coming down the line. So the same things that Devin is doing over on the South Side, we're looking at bringing those things over to the West Side so that we're able to also benefit from the civics education classes. And one of the things that Tyrone and I told you guys on the last couple of weeks is that Devin is going to be coming in on Tuesdays and one of those days and doing some of those classes right here so that you guys will be able to partake of that information. And if you can't tune in, and if you want more expounding on that, then you need to go over to that office or either come over to the West Side office when it is set up, because we're doing it. Because let me tell you something. I know that Devin has said at least 4 or 5 things that I know none of y'all had never heard before, didn't even realize that there was an Illinois Constitution. I didn't know that until I went and sat in on Devin's class. That isn't something that I had ever heard before.
And I'm gonna tell you one more thing. The citizens of Chicago can propose their own ordinances. So when we think about, people want to what the Republican Party or the Democrat Party gonna do for you, nothing. They're not gonna do anything for you. You're gonna do it for yourself. So we do not have
a Republican telling you that the Republicans or the Democratic Party is not gonna do nothing for you. You got to do it yourself.
You do, and you don't want them to take
that sounds like a different Republican.
You don't want them to take the credit. I mean, do you really? Y'all don't know me. Do you really want me to take credit for any hard work that you do in your house? Because if I take credit, I'm gonna take a portion of your property value. Okay. So with that said, you can propose ordinances to city council. And I actually wrote an ordinance to repeal the sanctuary city policy. I don't need the signatures, but I want to get at least 100 signatures on it from every ward in the city.
Wait, you can't, you wrote it. You haven't tried to get 100 signatures yet. You said you did. You writing it now.
It's done.
And you haven't started collecting signatures.
I have not.
So we need 100 signatures. When he ready,
I'm ready.
Launch it here.
I'm launching it right
now. It now. We need to get this. How many?
Devin, give him the address to that office so they can get over there and just come on in and sign it.
It's 8457 South Pulaski. And you can email me at info@southsidegop.org. If you just Google Southside GOP, I'm gonna pop up.
So I want to know more about these signatures.
Yeah.
I want to know that when you say you wrote an ordinance. So if you get 100 signatures from every ward.
So I don't need the signatures. I could just turn it in, but it'll look better.
Who will push the ordinance?
So that's the other thing is that those
Democrats not gonna push the ordinance.
If we make them push the ordinance, they will.
We tried to make them. You talking?
They're not gonna.
You talking about in city council or downstate?
I'm talking about in city council.
So all I'm saying is, as long as we have a majority of Democrats in
it's not gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen. I like the intent,
but this forces them. See, last time what we allowed them to do was say we're gonna put a referendum on there. Didn't nobody put a referendum on there when they gave us Sanctuary City I was born in '86, so I was just being born when whoever these people Harold Washington and them, half these people dead now when they put this stuff through. So now it's on the backs of me, and I wasn't even here, right? So what I'm saying is, if we force them to put it on the floor and take a vote, now in 2027, you see who voted against your interest. And we should be single issue voters on this in city council. Single issue voters. If you do not support the repeal of a sanctuary city, I don't want to hear anything. I don't want to hear how much you
talking
care
about the
us.
aldermen and everybody.
I'm talking about the aldermen.
Yeah. They need a litmus test. Another one.
Yes.
Because I already think they all lousy until they show me they for us. Listen. We should get rid of I said, it's a shame when the blackest alderman in city council is a Mexican. I'm going to say this again, and I'm going to say it out loud. I hope it offends somebody because I meant it to. When the blackest alderman in city council is a Mexican, brother, this man speaks more about black issues and black conditions than these black people that we sit there.
You're talking about 15th Ward.
Is that 15th Ward?
Lopez. Yeah.
That is a shame, man. He should have been Congress. But that's a shame. He's not sitting here because he's a Mexican saying, I'm going to give it all to my Mexican. If I'm going to have a coalition with Latinos, I got to have somebody with a mindset like his. Because we ain't never had I ain't never heard Brown say, heard Brown say brown and black.
No.
I ain't never heard that. But our black elected officials, every time they get up in the front of the people, they talking about black and brown.
But you know what I always say when I hear people talk about black and brown, show me a successful black business in a brown neighborhood. And then you could come and talk to me about black and brown.
No.
Because until you can show me that,
they can't.
I ain't trying to talk about that.
No,
and not to mention the fact that
or colored neighborhoods, period.
My community right now is in dire straits. And so I can't be concerned about any other color but black until we are at a place where black communities, we even got a black community. Because you know what? We don't even have a black community.
We have a hood.
We have blocks.
We don't have
we have sets.
We don't even know our neighbors.
But think about that. We don't even have a black community.
We don't.
And so when you look at that demographic and you really think about what that is saying,
you know what makes a black community? The apartment buildings, the houses that we occupy is owned by black people, landlords, everybody. And then the grocery stores and the gas stations and all the accoutrements of community is owned by us. We don't own. A lot of people are still renting or paying mortgages to banks that's owned by white folks that would take our homes and our property. So we really don't own nothing.
And those of us that might own it, the grandmother or the grandfather ends up having their property stolen through guardianship courts, through probate situations and stuff like that. And then it ends up in a land bank. And guess who buys it? Brown. That's the black and brown coalition. Is black stuff ends up in brown hands. There's your coalition right there. So we end up pushed out of our community. Look at Inglewood. Look at the West Side. Who moving in? And and people will say, "Oh, you fanning the flames of like a race war." I'm just saying what the government and what people are doing to us. So we need to figure out the play and then start working on building our own community. We don't have no black and brown, black and tan, black and white, black and yellow, black and nothing. We just black. And that's the coalition. It should be black people who are the descendants of the freedmen. We should be coalescing around ourselves and building our community. There's no reason that we've been sitting here since Jamestown in 1619 and we own nothing.
God. You know what? And when we got Devin, what you have to say about this? And Kyler could add as well. Over 150 black elected positions in the state of Illinois.
The Speaker of the House.
And Speaker, God. Right?
Lieutenant Governor.
Let me shut up. Listen,
I
bro.
saw that when I...
Hey, listen, I'm going to say this here, man. All of these black positions and they don't work for us. And it's always about who contribute campaign contribution to them. See, we got to figure out, Devin, how to, like yourself. I want to see the detours of all these elected officials. I need to see who they work for. Cause that's the running joke, right? That's the running theme. Black people ain't feeding us, so we can't work for you because we get, you don't give us no campaign contribution, and so the special interest group, that if we go against them or fight for you, they may remove us.
Okay, then we don't vote for you.
Then we don't. That's
fine.
it.
Figure out how to get in the office without the vote.
Because see, and you know what? That, you guys, that is so important. Because see, at the end of the day, those special interest groups only represent one vote, even if they're in the city or in the state.
One vote.
And so it does not really matter who is funding these campaigns. What matters is that we are knowledgeable about what is happening. And you know what? Let's start every week from here on. We pulling D2s. And we're going to start with the first ward.
That's my specialty.
We're going to start with the first ward. And we are going down the list.
Do we do every Tuesday?
Every Tuesday we do it.
D2s. We're going to go with ward. Where we going with?
We're going to start with the first one.
Are we going with, so are we just, are we
Let's just do the black wards.
State rep?
Let's start with the black wards.
Let's start with the black wards. So what I'm asking is, are we doing state reps? Aldermen, state senators. What we doing?
We could pile them together. So everything in the third
everybody
ward,
in that area.
Okay, so we gonna talk about this off camera. I mean, we'll do it out the week on our way up to Tuesday. So every Tuesday is exposing Tuesday. So every Tuesday is exposure Tuesday. So that's what we're gonna do, and we want to see the D2s of all these people who you sent to office with your vote, who really controlling them, and why your communities look the way they do.
And real quick,
and
about
that's not personal.
When you look at these D2s, you're gonna see AT&T, you're gonna see unions. You are the one who you pay a phone bill to AT&T, you pay an internet bill to them, you pay union dues. So it's still you that's being taxed, and then you don't get anything from that. So it's like you're being double and triple taxed, and then they steal the one precious thing you have in this country, which is a vote, barely, right? And we just keep asking these people. I'll be able to make Tuesday. I changed the civic education.
You need to make it Thursday. No. We make Thursday.
No, I could do Tuesday because I could do the civic education on Wednesdays.
Okay.
I'd rather do it all.
We want you to serve the people and your community, but we want you to
Tuesday is good.
This is
the people in my community.
This is definitely service, because I think that people, it's time out for us not being aware of what's going on. It's time to pull the wool back. It's exposure time.
Ain't no whiz behind
and
that
I
curtain.
think that people really need to understand. See, people don't understand why we decided to switch up. And we need you to understand. I need you to understand. Like I said, Devin and Tyrone been there. I switched up. And let me tell you something. And I said this, and I'll keep saying it. I ain't beholden to nobody. So if they don't do what I need them to do, guess what? I'm going to switch back
or switch up.
And we have a right to do that. And see, people, the message that we want to send is we're not beholden to anybody. Let me tell y'all something.
Earn our vote.
If the black vote didn't matter, they would not have pandered to you the way that they did.
That's right.
They wouldn't have done it if it didn't matter.
That's right.
See, we're the only ones who don't understand the importance of the black vote. Everybody get it but us. It makes a difference.
But see, it's a new day when you see young men like Devin telling y'all and really sitting up here. He not sounding like he no racist Republican. See, this is why the Republican Party, even in Illinois, is silly. They have lost their way. They never had a way. But they are silly because instead of empowering people like Devin, they'll run around him when they need to understand that when black people become more inclined and more in tune like we have become, then now empowering the men like Devin is more important for us to actually get the message out in the community to push against the progressivism of the current administration. Because Brandon them, it ain't no doubt in my mind, just like we call Trump, it's no doubt in my mind that Brandon is done.
Let me tell you what's funny though. You talked about the Republican Party not putting a person like Devin in charge, but Devin is the man that they call. And matter of fact, I had to tell Devin some months ago.
That's crazy.
I told look, I told Devin, I said from now on when they call you, tell them give me a fee. Because the fact of the matter is that they'll go and hire someone and pay them thousands of dollars and then call Devin to ask him for information that they want for free. And I told him, I was like, no, son, no.
Yeah.
Every time you pick up the phone, it's a cost.
Yeah. Well, we gonna roll this in. We about to close out, Devin. For real quick, these last few minutes, can you tell the people where they can find you? Give them more information on how they can get involved.
SouthsideGOP.org or .com, whichever one you put in, it's gonna come up. My personal cell phone is actually on there, and I'll give it out 773-234-5506. You can call, text.
Repeat it again.
773-234-5506. You can call, text. If you go on the website, if you go to southsidegop.org/311, we help you with any city services you need. We are not the city of Chicago, but we do partner with you in order to get the stuff, because they don't bring garbage cans until they get threatened to bring you garbage cans or whatever the case may be. Tickets, potholes, all of that other stuff. From the smallest things to the largest things, we just try to help the community and educate the community and to empower us to be able to take over this government, because it's people who look like us, but we're not running it.
Man, it sounds like you doing some legislating over here. So sound like you sound like you're really a politician that's trying to serve the people. I have never heard no politician talk about the stuff you talking about, man, and for the community. So with that being said, I'm Tyrone Muhammad. That's Cattle Trust. You have been listening to Ex-Cons for Trump live on IntellectualRadio.com. Remember, we'll see you back Tuesday. We're gonna have you see this good information we're bringing you. We're gonna make this from here on out till we deal with this local politics every week. Thank you all for tuning in. Subscribe and share.
Peace.
You ain't got enough money to buy my soul. Ain't strong enough to stop me. I'm out of control. This dimension's a meal. I know that I know